All right, guys, let me flip you back around here. All right, turn it back around. Ha ha, there I am. All right, close this down. Up here by myself, that's kind of cool. All right. So anyways, that was kind of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit of that bashing there. Terrible as I am at it. So anyways, let me see what all you've been saying here. Let's see here. Yep. Always spur gears. I gotta look and I need to get some new ones. The problem is this thing is old. It's, you know, it's 21 years old. So getting parts becomes fun. You have to find things that will retrofit. Thankfully, some of the stuff works between some of the newer models and this one. I've just gotta, I have to go look at it and see. I have to go to the hobby store and stuff and see what they've got to find something that'll match up with it. So if I did strip the spur a little bit there, which I think that's what I did. So we'll see. Anyways, that was fun. That's also why I generally don't bash them too hard. I'm not one to want to break stuff, but you know, it was a little fun to do. So I got my 6S batteries in. If you've been following my Instagram, you saw that. Got my 6S batteries for my my long range setup. And you've probably seen some pictures of it. All up weight, I'm waiting on some battery straps that I ordered. I need some new ones. So all up weight on it is just under a kilogram. 1100 kV motors running on 6S 7-inch props will generate ridiculous amounts of thrust. By my guesses from some thrust tests that I've seen from it, it'll probably hover maybe 20% throttle or something. I don't know, maybe 30% throttle on that setup. Should cruise nice around 40%. So it should get pretty good flight time. And that's a 6S 1550 milliamp packs. So should get some really good flight time, I'm hoping, based on weight, thrust, and all that kind of stuff that I've kind of guessed. But we'll know whenever I actually fly it. I've got the GPS stuff all set up with it. So I've got to do tests on that. It's getting all the data nice. All that looks good. I've just got to do tests on the rescue stuff. So I've got to go out, probably in a couple of days, I'll go out to park that's a few miles from here. That's got a big open place. You've probably seen some of the videos from there, Meadowwood. So a big open flat area. I want to just kind of run and test it and see how well the GPS rescue stuff works, and just kind of test it out and see how the range and stuff is with it. Should be kind of fun. Let's see what you guys are saying there. Whoops, live. Hey Bill, thank you, sir. It's a good birthday. Yeah, I don't. It's the 250 thing. I mean, even that is that big jump in the back there. I'm going back to the comments. I've hit that big jump, but it's kind of hard to line up. And then right on the right hand side, if you don't hit that just right, you're in the creek. You go over the bank and you're down in the creek. So that wouldn't be any fun. Yeah, this thing only does 3S too, and I'm just running 2S because I'm not going to push it. Yeah, I think that buzzer got wet and got messed up. Let's see here. But yeah, the whole 250 thing, I'm not even sure that that's going to be okay. Just the way that I've been reading it, it's iffy. At best, you can read it a couple of different ways. I need to go through the law a little bit more. That rule that they proposed, I need to dig through it a little bit closer and see. In one respect, it sounds a lot like. See, they make an exemption at the beginning. They're like, you know, these are the ones that have an exemption from this rule. But really, it's not really an exemption. It's an exemption from having to have remote ID. It's not an exemption from all the rules. And that's the only place that that 250 is listed as an exemption. Everywhere else, all the amateur stuff is basically restricted to those FRIAs. So the FAA registered identification areas, right? So that kind of makes me think that those even fall under there. It's kind of a gray gray thing. I've got to read a little closer and stuff. It's, you know, typical lawmakers, the way they write stuff is all gray so they can make it mean whatever they want it to mean. So, you know, I don't know. It's a mess. But I mean, if that rule goes through as it is, it basically pretty much ruins everything. I mean, it ruins commercial work for doing like video stuff. And what I mean is, like, you couldn't fly like Johnny FPV, Mr. Steele, all the work that they've done, they couldn't do, because you can't custom build your drones and fly legally under that rule. The only ones that can fly in non-FRIA areas are the ones that have been built by the manufacturers that are approved by FAA. That's a big problem. And then, you know, the thing with the AMA, so the AMA said, hey, look, hey, we got our flying fields, but really they didn't. They're not approved. There's been people out there saying, oh yeah, all the AMA fields are approved. No, they're not. That's not the way that that works. They have to apply for it, and they have to apply for it within the first 12 months. And then after that, no more can be applied for or approved. And then get this, after 48 months, they have to reapply. So they have to renew those things. And it's up to the discretion of the FAA if they're going to reapprove those or not. They might not. They might approve some, and they might not approve all of them. And later in the thing, there's language that they basically say that they expect that there will be no drones flying within X number of years, I forget what it was, flying, that don't have remote ID. So that basically means all amateur aircraft will not be flying. That's their goal. That's their intent. That's the intent of this rule. Now, that's not the FAA. That's this rule that the FAA is going along with. They went along with whatever this committee came up with. And this committee, of course, is comprised of a bunch of commercial interests who want to fly their commercial delivery stuff. You know, that's great. Great. You want to have your commercial delivery stuff. That doesn't mean that we should be stepping on people's hobbies. That's the big problem with all of this, and they're just kind of going along with it and not thinking about it. And the people that are at the table, even the ones who don't want the hobby to go away or don't want any of the model aviation hobby to go away, aren't seeing the repercussions that this will bring. And that's the problem. It's all about money, not about money from us. You know, there's people, oh, they're just trying to tax us, blah, blah, blah. No, that's really not. It's not about that. It's about the lobbyists that are greasing the palms of the congressman. So that's always the problem, is the lobbyists. You know, man, if we could get rid of the lobbyists and everything, things would be much better. So the only way we're going to fix this is we have to get the word out to the congressman. We need to make them aware that this is not good, and it's not good for their livelihood as far as being congressmen, because they're going to get voted out if they push this stuff through. So, I mean, there's still time to change it. So you've got, the first is when it's supposed to be published, and then from that point there's 60 days for public comment, and we need to be making a public comment, well written, well thought out, addressing all of the points. You know, not just, this is terrible, blah, 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 you know, I hate you, I'm not going to follow this rule, you can't make me. That's not going to solve anything, you know. And then after those 60 days, there's like another 18 months of reviewing all of this stuff and then revising this rule, and then finally it'll go into effect. And then there's like a 3-year period after it goes into effect that you have before you have to actually be fully compliant. So it's a good 4.5 to 5 years out before, you know, it matters. And by that point, God knows what's going to happen. I mean, look how much the industry has changed in the last 2 years, let alone the next 5. So there's a whole lot of things that can happen between now and then. But yeah, I mean, and for the people who are like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and fly and do whatever I want to, if you're like, you know, in the middle of nowhere and there's no people around, then yeah, that's probably no problem. But as the rule stands, this stuff's going to be public. And so Joe Public, like in my case, I have this one fellow, he hasn't commented on me and my stuff in a long time. But he lives just like about 2 blocks from me. And he's made numerous comments about, you know, flying my drones, and, you know, in a very negative light. And if this law were to go into effect and I was flying and he decided to be a pain in the butt, all he would have to do is say, oh, you're flying and you're not flying at a FAA register identification area. You're flying over at the park. Well, that's illegal unless your drone has remote ID. And let me find you on the map. Nope, you're not on the map, so you don't have remote ID or it's not working, so you shouldn't be flying. And so he calls up, Joe Schmo, the police officer, who just got hired on, and, he's looking to make a name for himself. And so he decides to come over there and give me a lot of grief. And so then I can't fly, and then I get harassed. And then, that's kind of where that goes. In some areas, the law enforcement are going to be cool about it, and they're not going to be pains in the butt if you're not causing problems. And, but there's going to be areas like when I went down to Myrtle Beach and we were flying and not causing any problems. And we had, this lady who, oh, she's the tough guy. And so she goes and kicks us out of flying in this, empty field next to a hotel because some stupid people decided to complain and we weren't even near them. So, that's where this stuff can go. The problem with this is not just getting kicked out. This would be like maybe getting hauled to jail or getting a $10,000 fine or, whatever. I don't know. It could be terrible. Federal stuff. So you got, federal violations are not pretty. So it's bad. Really, really, really bad. And we definitely need to do something about it. All I can say is contact congressmen, leave public comment there for the FAA, well thought out, well addressed. I'm going to try to put something together and I'm going to put it out. I'll probably make a video with it, put my thoughts and everything together. And, you guys can see it. And if you want to use that kind of as a jumping off point, feel free. But I'm definitely going to do that. And I'm trying to get the word out to as many people as I can to say, hey, we need to do something about this because it's bad for all model aviation. Not just the FPV guys, not just, as the rule stands, the way I read it anyways, you can't even fly indoors. You're flying a drone and it doesn't have remote ID. Maybe you could fly indoors. I don't know. But it doesn't really specify that. So, I don't know. I don't know how you read it. But this ruins drone racing unless you're flying at AMA fields, and then that's assuming that the AMA fields stay around. And a lot of the AMA fields are not owned; they're leased. So the owner could be like, I'm done. You need to go find somewhere else to fly. And if they do that, and it's after the 12 months, you can't apply for another one, and so your field's gone, and that spot's gone. And then, or the FAA could just decide, nah, we're not going to let you fly here. We don't like that one. That's in the path of blah, blah, blah. Amazon drone delivery needs that spot to be able to fly across there because that's the most efficient for them. And so you're in the way. So we're not going to approve that one. It could get bad with this stuff. I don't know. We definitely need to do something. But let me see what you guys are saying there. I've been rambling for too long. Let's see here. Yeah, definitely look into it, man. You can go watch those other videos of mine, and I've got links in the descriptions for where to look that stuff up at. And then whenever they make the stuff available for public comment, I'll post a link to that as well with a video. Oh, well, that's true. We're not, but here's the problem, Wiccan. So while we're not necessarily following all the rules right now, enforcing it's much more difficult now than if this law were in effect. Like I was saying, if this law goes into effect, then the police officer can pull up on their thing to see if you are flying legally or not. Are you flying a drone with remote ID or not? If you're flying a drone with remote ID, then you're going to be fine. No issues whatsoever. If you're not flying a drone with remote ID, which is all of us, then the problem will be that they pull it up, you're not showing up. If you're not at a FAA registered identification area, if you're not one of those areas, then you're flying illegally and you could be fined, put in jail, whatever, whatever the consequence will be, I don't know. And that's the real problem with this stuff. As it is now, the people knowing about flying more than 25 milliwatts, and that's kind of really not really accurate either. It has nothing to do with the wattage. It has to do with the frequencies. So, you know, if you're not flying with a ham license with your video, if it's not, and it really don't have anything to do with the wattage, it has to do with the equipment being FCC certified. So if the equipment's FCC certified, then you are more than fine flying with it. So for instance, all the TBS stuff is FCC certified, so you can fly with it, provided you don't unlock it. If you unlock it and you use the stuff that's unlocked, then you have to have your ham license, but you can fly it without it. And it has nothing to do with the wattage. That's just where it's been certified at. If they certified it at higher wattages, you could fly it at higher wattages, but they're not certified on higher wattages. So nothing to do with the wattages. It has to do with, you know, FCC certification on that. So I mean, yeah, so we're not flying with that, and the vast majority of us don't fly with spotters. So, you know, that would be, you know, against the AMA rules, which we're supposed to be following the community-based organization rules, but that's even more gray. You know, I mean, and you're supposed to fly with them visual on site. What's that really mean? Does that mean if I was looking at it, I can see it? I think it's what it means. But, you know, if I have to actually look at it, you know, then, you know, all FPV's outlawed, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. And then, so for the guys with 107, you know, this stuff's not going to matter. This stuff's going to, you know, their whole 107 means squat, because all they'll be able to fly is remote ID stuff. You can't fly whatever you want just because you have your 107. That don't mean diddly squat. So yeah, this thing, it's a big mess. I'm just hoping that some common sense prevails and some things change. What I don't know is, you know, I know they want to have remote ID. Here's the problem, and I appreciate the fact that they recognize that not everybody's going to have it and not everybody needs it. The problem is this whole, you got to be flying at these particular areas. You know, I don't see why they can't just continue the whole Lance thing and say, hey, here, you know, report your location here with Lance to make sure that you're going to be out of air traffic way. I mean, that's what would make the most sense. Now, would everybody follow that? No. You know, just like everybody's not going to follow this, but there's going to be people, if this goes through, there will be people that will be put in jail or fined heavily. But, you know, the Lance thing will be the way to approach it, I think. You know, the remote ID is not going to go away. So the people that want it to go away, it's not going to go away. And, you know, for the commercial drone stuff, it needs to be there. And I fully get that. For the fully autonomous stuff, it needs to be there. So, you know, anyways, my battery is about to die. It just keeps popping up warnings. So I better get off of here. You guys have a great day. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And let me know your thoughts. You know, put some comments on this whole FAA thing and everything else. And I will see you guys later. Have a good one, guys. Peace.